Hey guys, Stuart here. We had a class today and we talked about a problem where it was basically asking how much money could a company go and borrow and still be able to maintain its EBIT coverage. So the problem is looking at, let's try this. Why is it not? It's looking at EBIT coverage. And what EBIT coverage is, it's really, I call it EBIT coverage, but I guess it's really called interest coverage. And what we're doing here is we're saying, okay, in an income statement we have sales, then we have our cost of goods sold, then we have our SG and A expenses, right? And then we down here will have our, after all that, we will have our, earnings before interest and taxes, right? This is our operational income, right? And then we subtract our interest. That's the I in that formula, interest. And so what the EBIT coverage is saying, let's take that EBIT and we're going to divide it by our interest, right? So that's why I call it EBIT coverage, but I guess it's really interest coverage because you're covering interest. So just a hypothetical, if we had an EBIT that is 10 and we had an interest, our interest expense was 2, right? Then our interest coverage or EBIT coverage is going to be 5, right? I should stop saying EBIT coverage. That's something I think I just call it myself. But our interest coverage would be 5. And what that means is that we have 5 times our interest expense in operational income, right? So that means that we have enough money to be able to pay off all of our interest expense, right? And that's a thing that a lot of companies will look at pretty closely. And one of the reasons that this is important is because it lets you see if you are going to be able to add more debt to a company. So let's look at that. So we have a company where we say let me erase some of this up here as well. So we have a company where we say, all right, currently we have our EBIT is something like we'll say 30, right? And our interest expense, our int exp, is we'll say it is 5, and we'll tie that off over here on the balance sheet, right? The balance sheet by looking at our liabilities, so our long-term debt, and in this long-term debt we might see that it's a total of $100, right? $100. And that $100, we have a 5% interest payment that we pay on it, and that's where that feeds back, over into the income statement, right? So let me erase that. So we have an interest expense of 5, right? 5% of 100. So normally our EBT would be 25, right? Now the EBT is completely irrelevant to this. I'm just making sure that you remember how the math would work out. And then, we would subtract taxes, and, taxes would be whatever that is, and then you would have net income. All right? Now, let's erase this, get back to the question. So, this company goes to the bank, right? They go to the bank over here, and they go to this bank and they say, we want to borrow some money. And the bank says, okay, no problem. We'll do it to you on 2 conditions. So one is that your interest coverage, so interest coverage, must be at least 2 times, so greater than or equal to 2 times, which means that their EBIT divided by interest has to be greater than or equal to 2. Right? That's what that means. And the second thing is they say, if you can do that, we will give you a loan at, say, 10%. All right? Now, all good so far. Right? Let's put that 5% over here to the side. 5%. And let's now change color to we'll use like a green. All right. Okay. So this is what we can do in terms of getting a new loan. Now the question is, how much debt can we get? So how much can the bank can this company get? All right. So first thing we see here is that our current interest coverage, our interest coverage today, and let's call it today, equals 30 divided by 5 equals 6, right? So we have 6 times our interest expense in operational income. So what our question is interest coverage with new loan has to be 30 divided by x equal to 2, right? So now we can figure out that 30 divided by x equals 2. We know that x is going to cannot be greater than 15, right? So x has to be less than or equal to 15. All right. Let's make that greater than or equal to. So x has to be less than or equal to 15. So we go over here and we say our total interest expense. Let me erase some of this part here. So we go over here and we say our total interest expense is going to be 15, and now we need to know what new amount of loan. So new interest expense. Sorry, my little pen doesn't write so easily. Is what we're looking for to plug. So 5 plus something must equal 15. That's pretty easy. We don't even have to draw that out. It's going to be 10, right? 5 plus 10 equals 15. Awesome. So we're partway there. So now we need to ask ourselves, okay, we have this 10, right? So we have this 10, and now we need to figure out, well, what is that in terms of a loan, right? Equals how much loan. So the way that we do that is we divide that 10, right? That's dividing by signs. Close that. Okay, divide that by 10%. And why 10%? Well, if you go back and remember up here, let me get even another color. So if we go back and look up here, this 5 is because of the 5%, right? This is where this is tied off at. So we get a new loan. It's going to be this this 10%, right, loan. And so now we know that these two are going to be linked. And so here we can say, well, 5 divided by the interest rate is going to be the same as the amount that we have in our total loan, right? So 5 divided by 5% is going to be equal to 100. So here we're saying 10 divided by 10% is going to equal how much? And it just happens to also be $100. And so we can go back and we can test all of this, right? Let's just erase all this and just see if that really works. So we go to the bank. We go to the bank and we get out this loan and we say, okay, let's say I get a bank loan for $100. The bank says, okay, well, let's just see if that'll work. We'll give it to you at 10% interest. So now you go back and you say, guys, we're going to have to pay 10% more interest. Will this work? So I will have to pay $10 more in interest expense. Will this work? So int expense. It's supposed to say expense. Sorry. So now we have this 10. We say, guys, we got to add that to our original 5. Now we have this total of 15 at the bottom. Will the bank let us do this? And then we'll go and say, well, our interest coverage is going to be 30 divided by 15 is going to equal 2. And they'll say, you know what? we're barely going to make it, but we got it. That's, based on this 10% and their requirement of an EBIT over interest of greater than or equal to 2. We can make this deal, and now we can all award ourselves with a big fat bonus. Bonus time. Bonus time. Cha-ching. All right, hope that helps. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.